All right.
Okay,
And I'm
I'm
sorry,
frozen.
we had no delay whatsoever, and
There was no
everything
technical
is
difficulties
going
at all.
perfectly fine. So I don't know what everybody's complaining about. So,
We did let off at something about 90,000 was where we were
or
going there,
no,
and then I
over
kind of
90
yeah.
offers.
Oh, 90, that's
Yeah.
what it was. 90 offers. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to give a shout out to one of my mentors, Tim Egna. One of the best advice we ever got, Doug and I, when we were some of our initial days, was to talk to as many private equity venture capital people as possible.
Uh-huh.
They want to talk to you because they're all like talking to thousands of people and only taking a few deals. But it really was the difference in getting free consulting, like really telling us, validating how to make sure we didn't have churn. What is churn? What does that mean?
Sure.
Don't have
Yep.
clients leaving you. Those are things you have to explain in due diligence. Those are things that discount your valuation. Just all of the hundreds of things that go into trying to take the value of your organization down. And so we had done that over a few years, and then we ended up going with an investment banker who had done the most deals in our particular industry. They had, they call it like a bake off, or they
Mm.
call it different things, but they had put out a deck on us. There's probably about 121, 25, and I think around 90, 92 initial interest letters came back, initial
Wow.
pieces, and then they came back with additional information, and then 23 offers after that came back, and then we narrowed it down to 10, and then we kept narrowing. So they said we were either like tied with the record or like second for their record in their particular investment banking firm, because it might have
Huh.
just, I think it was, a cool company, probably a good price point. Some of these things go for billions of dollars and things like that, but also just maybe the right time, could have been
Hmm.
another 5 years and there have been no offers. Just such a crazy way that all of
Yeah.
that part of the world works.
Like,
Well,
did
that's
you have a number in mind when you were accepting these offers? Like, would you have liked to have waited it out and gamble, but
They
in
kind of
reality,
they the industry, there can be a little bit of a swing, but you really wanted to be in that sweet spot of like an 8 to 12 multiple based on your EBITDA and things like that. So we
sure.
knew that if we could do it all over again, there was definitely lessons learned. We were very much sometimes
Hmm.
overspending. Wait,
Huh.
did I freeze?
uh
Uh,
Did I freeze
now
for a
she's
second
full of
there?
frozen
technical
on us.
what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
sure.
let's see if she comes back or if she can jump back in. I'm not sure if you're
Okay.
hearing us.
There you
Oh,
are.
there we go.
Yeah, I
We
don't
got
know
you
what
back.
happened.
Yeah,
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
that's
that's
okay.
okay.
Um,
Let's
so
try
definitely
again.
lessons learned. Yeah. So lessons learned. There's this thing called TTM, trailing 12 months in an organization, and really what is the profitability? What's the consistency in that
Mm.
profitability? What are new clients coming on board? What's the growth rate? All those things, right? So
Yeah,
we were definitely doing a lot to invest in ourselves to really
Hmm.
really get these new clients. We had a large client coming on board. If I could do it all
Sure.
over again, we would have like really stabilized some of that. And so really like stretched out and made our TTM even better. But we
sure.
knew that we wanted a multiple, and we knew that it fell within that multiple. Based on our EBITDA, we probably around sale time, we were probably around revenue around 20 million. That's where it had grown, and our
Hmm.
first
Hmm.
client paid us $500. So we went for, that was a pretty big leap. But
Yeah, I would say.
that's a really interesting lessons learned, and was really just we felt like it was the right time based on the
Hmm.
market, based on technology.
Hmm.
We we just really had this theory that we talked to many people who came before us, and that's where all of it gets credit to, is just really all of the good advice I got along the way of betting on yourself, but then also we just had this thing in our head, like not getting greedy, meaning like there's many software firms that continue to go and go and go, and the
Sure.
world can change, technology can change, AI can come in, things like that, right?
So
And
that's
Yeah.
actually
um,
kind of what I was going to ask because at one point Howie said something about it's almost like a baby, like it's almost like your baby type thing, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
was that like do you, did you go into that thinking like I can't get attached to this, this is not mine, I'm going to get rid of it eventually,
Um,
or like how hard was it to part with that? Like I guess
it,
it's a
it
lot easier
was
when you get a bunch of dollar signs in your face.
that's helpful. However, the hardest part was the staff. Like you spend more
Mm.
Mhm.
time with them than you do anybody else in the world, your family or anything like that.
Sure.
And they had really helped us, grow that, and we, shared in some of that with a lot of our leaders and things like that as well. But it was it was hard to let that go, but it was also like a responsibility of not not waiting too long as well. And so
Hmm.
looking back at the situation, I definitely think the time was probably right for us and for them, but also just there's three things that Mark Cuban tells you when to sell a company. It's one, if it plateaus; two, if you hate it; and three, if it changes your life, right? And so we we had that always in the back of our head, but obviously, if we owned Bugle today and that was our second organization, like we'd never sell it because it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm having that a little bit in Monarch, my second organization. It's one of Doug's mentors, my co-founder. He shared with him that your second organization, you'll never, if you're just doing it from a financial perspective, you'll never make as much in the market as you will on yourself, as long as you're investing and growing, that. But it's
Hmm.
also like where you're adding value and
Hmm.
what purpose you're serving and in some of those things. So I think each of us has kind of worked towards finding that, for ourselves. My second organization, Monarch, actually started in January of 22. So that was before I was exiting Bugle. Just
Oh.
I
Okay.
needed to start that at that time. So there was a little bit of a crazy period. And that was also, that lends to some of that sale mindset as well,
Hmm.
meaning that
Well, I was gonna say that probably helped let that other one go a little bit, right?
yeah, that definitely, it wasn't like I landed with nothing. I landed with, okay, I can distract some of my other
Fully
things.
invest in this now, right?
Yeah, yeah, and stay helping that organization grow.
And
So,
Doug is not helping you with this one at all now.
no, he says he does because he talks to me every day. But yeah, but no, this was a very unique one that was specific to Northwest Ohio region. Like I was living in Dallas with the software
Oh,
firm. We had an office down in Dallas at the Star Complex with the Cowboys is where we ended
oh,
our
cool.
office. But
Hmm.
we didn't go there very often, but COVID and everything like that. So I was down in Dallas. I had met Doug when I lived in Baltimore. He worked in NextGen. He was down in Dallas or Frisco, Prosper
Hmm.
area.
Yep.
And so we met at NextGen. But, and then I was moving back to Northwest Ohio, is where I was originally from. And it was the whole region just did not have ABA therapy. Like they didn't even know how to spell ABA, I think. And, and, um, and so I was in Dallas, and you had your choice of seven different centers in 15-minute radius. So
Hmm.
ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a therapy that's given to autistic children that
Hmm.
I say saved my daughter's life and
Hmm.
Yeah,
probably saved my sanity in life as well, and the way
I
she
would imagine
experienced
so.
life. Yeah,
So that makes sense to me now because I was just gonna ask like why the
yeah,
change in the venture there. Well, there you go because it was
yeah.
obviously something very dear to your
Hmm.
heart.
So if we were going to move back to this area, she would have to go over an hour, and the waiting list was over a
Hmm.
year long, just insane.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to start this, and I found somebody in the area. There was only like two people in the area with the credentials to do this. I found
Oh
one
my
on
goodness.
Facebook. Her name's Emily, and she runs through walls. This girl, I'm
That's
telling you,
awesome.
she is like a go-getter. And so the deal was, I want this and you do this kind of thing. So my first conversation, I Facebook stalked her. She's she gets on the phone and she's like, I'm in my dream job. You're never going to talk me into coming to your company. Tell me
Hmm.
everything you're doing. And I'm like, deal. I'll tell you everything I'm doing, and I get 5 minutes to pitch you on ownership. I want you to own part of the company.
Sweet.
Okay. Second conversation. Tell me about ownership again. What does that mean? How does that work? Third conversation. I'm all in. We're doing it my way. And I'm
Where
like,
do I
Wow.
sign?
yeah, yeah. And so she just like just did some incredible stuff. So she's grown this from one center with my daughter walking in the door. Because this isn't anything I have experience in or anything like that.
Sure.
I just needed it to exist, right?
Yep.
So
You're
grew a
more of
little
the
rapid.
background. She's kind of the boot work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I really just have a role of like helping with finance or parent advocate or, you know, that kind of thing, but I don't have a real role or anything like that. But so we started with one center. We grew to 8 centers. I'm super proud of Emily. Like there was no practitioners in the area, and I think she's graduated close to 25 or so in
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Wow.
So just really,
Yeah, that's
you know, you
impressive.
get philosophical and say like, what would society be like in 20 years had she not done this? And
Yeah.
you know, the rate of autism so rapid compared to what it was 10, 20 years ago. And so really just literally changing the fabric of society and the way these children get to experience
So are these
society.
centers, are they pretty much alternative schools for them
No, we
or?
definitely are not a school. We're all medical where they bill their health
Okay.
insurance. We definitely work very hard to have good relationships with the schools. So the child, our whole
Sure.
philosophy is we need the child to get the best of both worlds, education and medical world, and they both need to be serving these children in the best way they can. But oftentimes they come to us for a while, and then when they are ready to go to school, they're more prepared. And
Okay.
or if they come to us a little bit older, then we're working in conjunction with the school, or maybe they need to come to us for a short bit for a while, a few months, a
Gotcha.
year,
Now,
and be able to
Kristen,
be more
before
successful.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say, before I drop this in the comments, I want to make sure the website is correct. It's monarchaba.org, which is monarkaba.org. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, that's
Okay.
correct.
So we're going to drop that in the comments here right now so that you can see that. And
Hmm.
if somebody needs to go to that organization, is that strictly just for the Ohio area right now, or is that more spread out at this point?
No, we are strictly in Northwest Ohio right now, and
Gotcha.
we only do
Okay.
physical locations. There's other ways that ABA is delivered in the country, maybe in the school system, maybe in an in-home therapy center, and there's, you know, tons of physical centers as well that my daughter participated in Dallas. So I really just wanted to bring the Dallas model. And so just having experienced that and how that all worked for her and how much that changed her ability to thrive and be able to participate in the world. Like many autistic children,
Yeah.
you don't see them when they get older because they just literally have to stay at home, where
Yeah.
we really want our children in schools and restaurants and churches, and we want them to be able to participate and not be overwhelmed and be successful so they can continue to lead their best lives as well. And it's
Sure.
just shocking what they do. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always say too, especially when you're dealing with someone that's on the spectrum, I always think a lot of people look at them almost like they're disabled in a sense, but I kind of look at it in a way that these folks, there's a special talent there somewhere. You just got to find it. Once you find it, they can hone in on it and they can focus on it and they can thrive on it. You
Yeah.
know, and I've seen that so many times where you just got to find what interests them, you know. And I'll
Yeah.
use my own son as an example. My youngest son is very lightly on the spectrum, but he didn't do well in high school. He really was struggling, and then he got interested in movies and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? His counselors were like, oh, he's never going to be able to go to college and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to see if I can challenge this a little bit. And I actually found a college that was very hands-on, and their major focus was in film. And
Oh, that's excellent.
yeah, and he went down there. It was in Florida at Full Sail University, and he thrived. I mean, straight A student down there, and you know, and he's working in his industry as we speak.
I
So,
I love that story. I've had some connection to the Autism Resource Project out in LA, and the individual who directs that, her son was mute for a period of time. He then described it later, mostly during high school, and he became unmute. And he would describe like why he was mute. It was just was hurting to talk.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
he now does voiceovers. So he goes from
Oh
being
my
mute
gosh.
doing voiceovers in the Hollywood area and the film, and there's so
Yeah.
many great places for them in
That's
that. And
incredible.
yeah,
And that's the
so
thing. It's like it's not about like we don't want to put them in a back room and pretend that they don't
hmm
exist. We need to like find out like what truly interests them and then
yeah,
help them, focus on whatever that is to help them, continue to thrive.
yeah.
And I feel like your facility probably helps them get to that point.
I don't want to make your listeners. I don't want to make them cry, but there's so many incredible
Make them
stories.
cry, Kristen.
Bring them
It's
to
called
tears.
ratings, Kristen, ratings. Keep going.
Each tier points. Um, so I have a couple of stories that are tear jerkers. So my first
Go
one
for it.
is this little boy presents himself, 2 years old, helmet on, banging his head
Mm.
against the wall. Mom covered in bruises, crying. Single mom, just doesn't know
Oh.
what to do in life. So he was one of our first ones at our second center, and he wouldn't even get off of a little mat for like 3 months. He would not
Hmm.
engage at all, just banging his head against the wall. Little boy goes on, and I'm going to probably choke up, goes to kindergarten screening. Child barely needs an IEP, full sentences, friends, feeding himself,
Oh my
loving life.
goodness.
So my
Mm.
question to Emily was, what if Monarch didn't open? And her answer
Yeah.
was he'd still be in the corner banging his head against the wall.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just slowly, the minuscule science that they do in ABA, I'm just so, I mean, obviously I'm a big fan, but fascinated
Right.
by it. They take the most minuscule steps over
Hmm.
hours and days and weeks. And I call it getting out of their cage, like getting out of jail, like the
Yeah.
Yeah,
autism
kind
jail.
of. Yeah, for sure.
And that little boy, and what that little boy can do to contribute to society and be a
Hmm.
part of our world and help others, and versus being in a situation where he's, scared, locked away, angry,
Hmm.
just being in that place in your mind, but not letting your body be able to let you get out.
Yeah.
That's just horror. And
So,
Hmm.
to watch them get out is just shocking.
It is. It is.
so
That's
like I
neat.
sense that this. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I sense that this was like more of a heart venture for you than a business venture. But obviously, there's business involved in this as well.
Right.
Um, is it like, hey, as long as we break even, we're good, or like
No,
what's kind of
there's some
what's your
profitability to it. It's been a very difficult year. Two reasons: the profitability is just not anywhere near a software company would be.
hmm
Many reasons. It's very employee intensive. We also have double the staff at the provider level working because we have to supervise all these people that we just talked about graduating. That's not
Sure.
done for free. So we sponsor all
Excellent.
them doing that. So we're really
Mm,
double paying people to provide, these types of services and to get those providers out into our organization and into the community. Many of the schools in the area hire our staff that can look bad from a business perspective, but you're really thankful for it. I mean, if everybody has heard of ABA and everybody has touched ABA, then it's great to see what I call, it might not be the right word, but typical children where their parents are using ABA on them. My little nieces and nephews, they'll be like,
Hmm.
okay, calm body, ready hands. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, just like cheering, like, yeah, we got ABA with, helping them as well. I say we all
hmm
need ABA, right? So,
Yep.
so
I mean, it feels like it.
there is some profitability with it. We have to do that in order to sustain and also to grow. We were really on a growth streak of opening 8 centers in 4 years is a little crazy. We're going to start growing again over the next couple of years. My philosophy is just like you just have this like panic in yourself where you're like there's children sitting there waiting on you. Because
Mm,
when we opened our first center, a mom came to me and said, I've been waiting on you for 8 years. I didn't know who the hell you were, and I didn't know when you would ever show up, but you showed
Yeah.
up.
hmm
And so we always say that, you think about like each child's like purpose and where they'll find their place. And my daughter, like, her purpose was just open the door. Like, your
Yeah.
job was to open this door and make us come to from Dallas, come
Mm.
back up. And so I had this is another tier one, but she was 2 years old, and I'm like, corporate America, flying all over the country. I have a special needs little girl all of a sudden. And I'm like, this is not me. I'm not cut out for this. God, you picked, like, you poor little girl. Like, you got me? What the heck?
Yeah.
And I was feeling a little sorry for myself. I pick her up out of her car seat to go into the daycare. And I had this crazy premonition hit me. I don't really have these types of experiences, but it just, I picked her up and I was really like feeling sorry for myself and thinking this sucks. And I thought she saved my life. And
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay, she rerouted me. I might have had an accident on the Beltway, or I was living in Baltimore, you know. And later, I figured out, like, oh, now I know why you were assigned me, meaning we had to go open these centers. And
Yeah.
of course, you going to take me for the ride. And then also where she saved my life, just shocking. It was height of COVID, and she was very angry because the ABA center, she wasn't going to it for a few months.
Sure.
So she hits you when she's not able to communicate, and she's frustrated, and she's not understanding why she can't go to ABA, why she can't go to the big room is what she called it. And so I had a very deep pain on my right side. And I thought, you know, mammograms were all shut down and everything like that. And I thought, if this still hurts in 2 weeks, she must have really got me good. But if this is still here in 2 weeks, I don't care about COVID, I'm going. So
Yeah.
I went and got a mammogram. Long story short, I had breast cancer, but it was stage 1A, where I basically walked in the door the right day. Where during COVID, I would have put that mammogram off for at least another 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
But I think and the cancer wasn't even on the side where I think she hit me. It was on the other side.
Oh,
Wow.
But it was like literally her hit, and she would only hit me. She just needed to hit me. She needed to make that connection. Literally, her hitting me saved my life. And
Wow.
I walked in with a 1A. By the time I had my surgery, it was 1B. It was very rapid growing,
Oh boy.
and just a little bit of chemo, baby chemo. That's a thing, is what they called it. So that's what led to the blush. But
yeah.
I think the power of what is going on within that special needs community, and if anybody who has a relationship with Howie shared with me a lot of different relationships that he had, and they're misunderstood. And so I'm hoping with more and more ABA, they get to experience it, but they get understood. They get to
Yeah.
express themselves in a better way. So
Yeah. And there's
I don't know if that helps your ratings, more tears, but
No, no. Go. I mean, those are great stories for sure.
yeah, they are.
yeah.
And by the way, congratulations, and I hope everything's still going well. And
Yeah,
you're still
everything is
Yeah.
really going super
perfect.
well.
Perfect.
She
Most
got me
definitely.
moving at the right time. So
Go ahead,
Yeah.
I'm in
Howie. I didn't
controlling
mean to interrupt you.
That's
relationships.
okay. I mean, I worked in an inner city school. In fact, the third largest school district in Pennsylvania, Allentown School District, and I was in charge of running the alternative ed school there. We had 144 students, and every single one of them had an IEP.
Oh my
So think
God.
about that. Every single one of them had an IEP, and I will say probably three-fourths of them, if it were today, they probably would be considered on the spectrum when it comes to autism. And I just think about kids like that because a lot of them were, they were part of gangs, and I'm talking like major gangs like Blood, gangs in
Yeah.
the area and everything. And I just think,
Yeah.
man, if only they had those resources that are available today, how many of them, in some cases, would be still alive? Because some of them just, they didn't make it to their senior year because of probably being
Yeah.
killed in some kind of gang related activity. And
Oh,
and
it's
it's a shame because unfortunately violence is kind of part of the behavior when we're dealing with
Yeah.
somebody on the spectrum. And in their case it was extreme violence. It was gun related, knife related, you name it.
Yeah.
you know
Wow, that is so heavy. Yeah.
It
yeah.
makes you wonder. I don't know. Just it, like Howie just said there, it kind of just makes you wonder, like where would kids be without some of these programs we have now? And
Mm-hmm.
everything's so much more accessible to kids today than it was, how many years ago. And it's so much easier to look things up and find
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and get in touch with people through social media and stuff. If you want to be part of something that's maybe not so good,
Mm-hmm.
So programs like this are definitely something that's going to help keep troubled kids, and not just,
Yeah.
behavioral trouble, but
Hmm.
also, autistic or whatever they're
Yeah.
dealing with. It helps keep
Mm-hmm.
them on track and get their life in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second, because I kind of have a hard time wrapping my head around stuff like this, with healthcare in general.
Hmm.
Um, what's that line between profiting off of somebody's health, poor health, or health care, or
Mm-hmm.
does that make sense, what I'm trying to ask you there?
Oh yeah, I love this question. I thought about that in Bugle.
Hmm.
I think about that in Monarch. I love some of the effort of Mark Cuban and Cost Plus Drugs, and now he's doing Cost Plus Wellness. I've chatted with his group a little bit, and like if you could solve something, one of our most complicated problems in our organization or in our country, in our world, is healthcare and
Hmm.
feasibility, and
Hmm.
not understanding why something costs $25 in Turkey and $2,000 here, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
in
or
Bugle, we
you know,
struggled with that. Like, are
yeah.
we another layer of this onion? And yeah.
Well, I was, and again, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you bring up a good point there, and that was another thing I was going to ask you, was like, with some of the prescriptions that some people get,
Hmm.
um, you know, you're uninsured, and it might cost you $100, but if you're insured, you might have a copay of $20, but they charge your insurance $1,200.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
If
how
you're
does that
lucky,
happen?
they only charge your
Yeah,
insurance $1,200,
Right.
right.
because I'll
So,
tell you, if you're
Yeah.
middle class, this is where this is the class of people that
Hmm.
are really getting screwed over in the medical field or in the health insurance field. Because if you're poor and you're not making enough money, well, then you get specialized
hmm
rates on insurance.
hmm
And if you're wealthy, well, it doesn't really matter because you can afford it.
right,
But then middle
right.
class, you're kind of in the middle of both worlds, and unfortunately, it's tough to afford. I mean, I think of folks who are diabetic, that
hmm
are on insulin, to get
Hmm.
that medicine for their insulin shots. Uh, they're spending, sometimes $1,000 plus a month just on
Yeah.
their medicine,
Yeah.
where I don't know, if I was some drug addict on the streets of Seattle, for example, they're going to give me that. They're going to give me free needles and
Yep.
free everything, almost in a weird way, to keep my habit going, and so I
Yep.
don't
Hmm.
die. And
Yeah.
that's kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
And that's
sad.
yeah, and that's kind of where, what kind of brought this question up in general, was just because,
Hmm.
like, I don't understand. Like, I understand everybody's in a business to make money. Obviously,
Hmm.
but in some regards too, like, it doesn't make sense to me, I guess, is
Yeah.
what it really boils down to, is how can there be
Yeah.
different prices for different people based upon what insurance you have? Either it costs that much to make, or it doesn't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's very it's so broken, and I think when something is so broken, it's like boiling the ocean, right? You can't
Hmm.
right.
solve all of it. I like his approach with the cost plus drugs. His approach with cost
Yeah.
plus wellness is to say, okay, let's start where we can, right? So he's working towards the employers in the Dallas region to quote unquote own the results of, like, whether it's, I won't put words in his mouth, but owning radiology equipment or a small hospital or physicians or things of
Mm,
that
Sure.
nature, so that there isn't this run up in the market. But it everything that you when you think about all the walls that you run into in that, it goes back to legislation and
Hmm.
legislations of who can provide radiology services, legislation of who can provide, what these drugs can be used for, and then certainly legislation with how things are done. And ABA is under a lot of scrutiny as well. It's very expensive for these children to participate in this. They're receiving one-on-one therapy for,
Sure.
20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, whatever it
right,
is.
right, for sure.
It's very expensive, and it didn't exist in the same way it does now. It didn't exist in the same way 10 years ago because many states passed laws
Mm-hmm.
that required the carriers to provide this coverage. So in the state of Ohio, it was only in 2018. So, there was no centers. And in the last 8 years, I think I did an analysis a few months ago, and there's like 93 now in our country or in our state.
Okay.
But all to say, going back to your thing with the drugs and the different prices and things like that, the ability to do it is in the legislation. And,
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard. And so much of the quote unquote buying power resides in the Medicare and Medicaid, which is
Yeah.
through the government as well. So that's why it also goes back to legislation, not just in the
Yeah.
commercial plans.
Yeah.
As much as it comes down to legislation, the marriage between politics and the healthcare industry is corrupt. I mean, just point blank corrupt. And you know, they're allowing price inflation to happen because well, they're buying votes in a sense, and
Yeah.
it kind of it screws over a lot of people, unfortunately, and people have to
And
suffer, or they don't even go on the medication that they need
yeah.
because they can't afford it.
And it probably would be fair to say too that not only are they corrupt in the sense that you were just talking there, Howie, but also in the sense that the majority of these companies that are drug companies or medical companies or whatever are publicly traded companies. So there's money to be made there as well. So
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we need
Yeah.
to build a
it's
software program right now, Kristen,
yes.
where we can.
Can we do it, Kristen?
Well, I'm telling you, you'll see it in the data, and you'll see the difference in prices. You'll see
Yeah.
you'll see where the physician also is left holding the bag because there's so many games being played with authorizations and retraction, and it's just such a complex web. And that was part of the software, was trying to take this complexity and simplify it and allow it to
Sure.
be more actionable. But man, it's not $1 million question; it's $1 trillion question.
Yeah,
It really
right.
is. And I don't want to go too far off the path here, but I'm just going to really
It's
share a story that I had on Sunday with some guys. And the thing that was brought up was, just in insurances in general. With you pay whatever you pay, monthly, yearly, whatever the price is for medical insurance, car insurance, life insurance, whatever insurances you have, you're paying these, right? Then when you actually finally need to use that product, you're jumping through hoops and jumping through rings, and all because that the way the order was put in wasn't listed correctly, and it's like, this is crazy. I've spent how much money giving, out of my paycheck or whatever, all these months that I've worked here, hardly ever used it, and now I need it for something big, and this is the end of the world. Like, it's definitely a broken system, and I don't know, Kristen. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can help us with that, but if you could,
Yeah.
that would be
I
amazing.
got that answer. That might be part of the AI living in utopia. If we ever get into,
Yeah,
It-
right.
It's really a frustrating topic. It really
It,
is.
it is. It's so many people are left behind and silent suffering and not knowing what to do. It's such a difficult, complex, so complex, and so many people are going into they're not only paying that premium, but then a lot of the solutions they really need are self-pay. These people
Sure.
are continuing to leave the situation, leave the system. And my son had a surgery that he really needed to have a surgeon that did a more modern way, and he had to pay cash for it, and it was
Oh my.
very ridiculous. And so he had
Don't
health
you wonder
insurance.
sometimes why you're even obligated to pay insurance then?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it's just you're there. It's more that catastrophic almost sometimes, where they find different solutions that really aren't. Many people are. So some of those more elite providers, or you hear concierge physicians and things like that, and it just continues to separate maybe a little bit of the haves and have-nots, unfortunately, as well. Like you see.
yeah.
You don't even know that some of these worlds exist beyond the story, because that's the way the world works behind the scenes, that I was reading an article about concierge OB-GYN, and she was, $1,000 cash a visit, and the it's you go from one extreme to
Mm-hmm.
people who are struggling in poverty, and then you go to the extremes of the haves, and how they actually navigate the healthcare system is completely different,
Yeah.
completely different.
And I didn't mean to go too far off the path here, so we'll come back. Let me just kind of throw some, in case anybody's just happened to be joining in. I'm not sure. I see people kind of coming and going, but we're talking with Kristen Closson, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn. It's Closson. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I spelled that right. So you can find her there if you want to look her up and kind of follow her journey. And we talked about her first company here at the beginning of the show called Bugle. And now we've moved on to Monarch, and that's monarchaba.org. So I'm not exactly sure where we left off or where we got off path here, and I'm pretty sure that was my fault. But
Well, you know what? I'd like to rewind just a little bit more of from
Go
an
ahead.
entertainment standpoint. When you sold Bugle,
Mm.
um, what did you buy yourself as a reward? I mean, are we talking? And I'm not, and that's why I said yourself. Like, is there anything that
Yeah.
you treated yourself to where you're like, man, I deserve this. I just sold it for this many, millions of dollars, and I'm hooking myself up.
I think my people who know me are going to laugh when you ask that question, because I hate things. I say I hate
Mm.
things, but
I gathered that
You're not a
about you
material
because
person.
you're, and people that, obviously I'm talking to you like I've known you for years just because of
well,
that.
that's all it took, an hour and a half of
Yeah,
our
right.
birthday party. We just like
Yeah,
had this
exactly.
conversation.
But the little bit that I got to know you is you're very down to earth, you're very humble, and I never ever would have gathered that you experienced what you've experienced over the last 5 to 10 years. So,
That's nice.
so
I
that's why I
appreciate
asked
that.
that question because,
So I did do one thing that I think to me was a huge splurge. So, and I mentioned it, I think it, because we talked about everything. It was really fun.
yeah,
But there's a conference down in Austin, Texas. My one son lives in Austin, Texas. One lives in LA.
okay,
And it's called South by Southwest. And I just always wanted to go to it. It's just all about technology. I heard Mark Cuban talk. I heard
yeah,
Malcolm Gladwell, and just Brian Johnson, just it was just so much energy, just so,
Hmm.
and the tickets were probably like $1,000, and hotel was, so like,
sure,
to me, when I went to South by Southwest, like I normally don't try to spend that kind of money on myself in a
yeah,
sense, and it just like I'm going to my boys went and everything, and so to me that was my
Yeah.
first splurge of really
okay,
But I
saying,
mean, it was a business trip too.
yeah,
So
it was a business trip.
so I'm
We
sure
were
we
talking
could
about
sure we could
technology.
write a little bit of that off of there.
that's
Yeah.
right,
That's true. That's true. So if you
that's
take
right,
that, then maybe it wasn't. But just giving yourself permission to do that,
Sure,
yeah,
and
sure.
but it's really we haven't done our big trip yet. We'd like to go to Japan, and we've put that
Hmm.
off a little bit. But so that's experiences in healthcare. Goes back to the healthcare conversation.
Hmm.
So and that's really where that's at. And but yeah, I would say if like what I would want, or what I would, I don't I paid my house off, like
Hmm.
those
nice,
types of things. And so that gives you a different mental load,
hmm,
like
without a
it just
doubt,
allows you to
Very
think
freeing.
clear.
Yep.
hmm.
And I go to lunch more than I did before, probably, and stuff like that. So
Yes,
but yeah, and I'm trying to think if there wasn't like clothes or
Yeah.
a
jewelry. I
yacht
happen to get a new
or
No
car.
car, boat,
yeah,
nothing.
No, I'm not.
no,
I'm not that.
you're not
We
about the
invested in some
materialistic
real
kind of thing.
estate, like did some things like that.
Okay,
But no,
started another
it definitely
business.
was. It definitely was. A good experience, but it's also just, really like being able to plan for the future, and,
Hmm.
you know, what is what is the value of that? Where does that actually where can you contribute, right? It's really
Yeah.
just, I'm still in that reflection state. It's still new, and
Sure. I
I'm trying to
bet.
figure that out. So,
Well,
Was
yeah,
I
go ahead.
almost wonder if that kind of relates to people that hit the lottery. Like, is that because you hear so many horror stories about people that just drastically their lives change
Hmm.
overnight. And I don't think
yeah,
it's quite the same because you obviously put a lot of work into what you were doing. And it's not was just some lucky number that got pulled per se, you know?
right, right. I
So
think
does that
it's
kind of
really
help you stay more grounded with that then?
a little bit, but it is disorienting. And I belong to this group called PEF, and it stands for Post Exit Founders. There's
Huh?
thousands of people in it, and it's very interesting to listen and participate in those groups because you think, okay, I'm going to come in and there's going to be a lot of egos. It's a lot of tech people, not all, but and you don't find that. You find people that are really just who they were, and they're
Sure.
trying to figure out, like, they were such contributors, and so
Hmm.
where do I contribute? Where do I find that meaning? What is my purpose? They really go
Hmm.
through some of those identity things. So it's interesting to listen to that and also get perspectives and ideas. And they give you some guidance along the way, like other people, lessons learned. They're like, what crazy thing did you do?
Yeah.
Or, okay, don't do anything, with in this many months, or ask these types of questions, these types of attorneys, these types, so really, like,
Hmm.
listening to a lot of people ahead of time, because it's difficult for people to share in those
Hmm.
situations. And then in those groups, there's a lot more sharing and vulnerability of being able to ask what you feel are dumb questions sometimes. And
Mm.
Gotcha.
so, yeah, leading up to it, we try to have a lot of those conversations, but it doesn't, until that day happens,
For sure.
um, and it just, people have asked, like, what is it like, or whatever. We just went into a meeting, and they said you have to go into a meeting and confirm it. And so we went into a meeting. It lasted about 7 minutes, and
Jeez.
then we hung up.
That's crazy.
And they said just watch your account. And I was getting my hair done. And it's difficult to reschedule if you're female. Like, it's difficult. So I'm just getting my hair done. It was Monday morning, and
Yeah.
I just watched my phone, and it just popped in like
Your
that.
That's
banking,
crazy.
your bank's like, hey, I think there's an error here, but
Yeah,
you know,
this happens every day, and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, I'll screenshot that one. All right. And then going
Oh,
back to
wow.
the conversation about what the movie is or whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that. So that was,
You know what? Why don't you add a couple more extensions on there?
okay. I think I'm going to pay cash today. So,
Yeah, there you go.
but
It's
yeah,
your lucky day. You're getting a nice tip.
I don't even know if Lauren knows that was going on at all. So,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's funny.
so
that's crazy. That's
that's
just
how
that's
it, yeah,
just
that's how it works.
Yeah.
It just shows up. And
So,
that was
so somebody who is listening to this, and I'm going to include myself on this because I always find like the biggest difficulty, like even with what I am trying to do with teaching like mental health and all those things to like schools and different organizations and things. And I've done that. I've worked with police stations and schools and colleges and you name it. I'm
rehab centers.
yeah, rehab centers, yeah. And I always find like the most difficult thing is getting your foot in the door when it comes
mm,
to starting a business. And even
yeah,
you kind of alluded to that in the beginning with you know
Yeah,
a lot of people don't trust you yet because they don't know
yeah,
you, they don't know what you
yeah,
can provide for them, like
especially if
hmm,
it's your first venture.
yeah,
exactly. And
Yeah.
so
yeah.
so what do you recommend to someone like myself or anybody else out there that is looking to start up, but they kind of give up in a sense because they
Yeah.
tried, they failed, they tried, they failed, and it just kind of that revolving door.
I always struggled with, sales and Doug and I's relationship. We have a third partner too, Harry. I didn't mean to not mention Harry. He was our technical component. So
Okay.
Doug was business development sales. I was always operations, and I like never wanted anything to do with sales. And he always laughed at me, and he's like, "You realize you're selling all the time, right?" And meaning, like, explaining it. I'm like, "That's not sales. I don't care." I just, had this thing. And
Yeah.
one of our colleagues, Reed, I had a conversation with him one time, and he really moved my mind, and this stuck with me for so long. I said, how can you stand it? Like all the no's and all the difficulty and long conversations and conversations that don't result in anything and everything. He's like, listen, it's just an easy mindset. I know my numbers. And if I know that I get 1 in 50 people to say yes, I celebrate every no and I get those no's as fast as I can get them. So if I got a no, it's a win. Like, cause then I'm closer to my number 50. And so he said, I'm just going around collecting no's all day long and my yes will pop up. And he said, it's
Interesting.
been that way for decades, Kristen. And I'm like, okay, that's that. And really my mindset moved and I completely released all of the friction that I held within me. I'm very much about some of that from a spirituality standpoint and stuff.
Sure.
And it's liberating. It feels so good. So really when you're going out there, one, you have to be adding value. You have to deliver with excellence, and it's about relationships. And so just continue to show up, just continue to add value, and grab those no's.
Yeah.
They can be more valuable to get you to the yes. So
That's
you'll
an
learn.
interesting way to look at that. I never
It
would have
completely
thought
flips
about
it on
it
its
that way.
head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
It's
Yeah.
sure.
almost like working backwards in a sense,
Yeah. Working
Yeah.
backwards. Yep.
Yep.
And to have that, it it just a release. It's just like, okay. So when the person says no or is difficult or whatever, I mean, it just doesn't affect you in the same way where mentally you would spin out for a day or two, and instead of spinning out, you're trying to collect a few more no's. And
Sure.
that is really, really key. So that's my encouragement too.
Awesome.
They always say the businesses that fail, and again, if you're not adding value or the numbers don't make sense, it's going to fail. But it's really about it's really about not stopping, right? Like that consistency and yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking with Kristen Closson, okay, again, Closson. You can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn. We were talking about Monarch ABA Therapy. You can find them on Facebook as well. It's MONARK, and the website is monarchaba.org. And we didn't really get too deep into your other venture here now. This is Blush Beauty,
Yeah.
also on Facebook. Still kind of working out the social media stuff there a little bit,
Yeah,
I think,
there's some
right?
social
Okay.
media. We get a little bit each week. It's a smaller company. It's a product. I've never been in product. I've always been healthcare in a sense.
Okay.
And so this was a product I had used after my cancer, and it was more of an expensive product, and found an opportunity to get an FDA number and started that. So I'm learning about Amazon and product. And it was
Wow.
just one of those things where we talked at the beginning, like being a constant learner was really just more of like, let me do something that I don't know anything about, because just the experience of learning and
Yeah.
understanding that is really the joy of that. And, being in that women product area is just, near and
Sure.
dear to me too. So,
What
yeah.
what exactly is the product, I guess? Am I allowed to? I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
if.
it's
Okay.
so women who maybe in menopause, or for me, I had the chemotherapy and everything like that. They suffer from vaginal dryness and vaginal
Ah,
atrophy.
okay.
So this is hyaluronic acid vaginal suppository, specifically, and it can affect women in many different
Sure.
ways. And so,
Right.
yeah, that
And who better
is
to
that
talk to
whole
this
women's health
about than
section is
Troy
just
and Howie,
crazy.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were walking right into that one.
I
Yeah.
know. I was waiting because
Well, I
I
mean,
did.
And it's
Yeah.
it's shocking what is out there in the women's health space, and how
Yeah.
much of our healthcare was not designed around women, and getting into that whole topic, and it's really, really surprising. And so
It's a
this
fact of life, right?
continues to, yeah, give voice to that. And Melinda French Gates has recently pledged a lot to women's health, and learning more about that and helping
Yeah.
us be able to get better care and different care. So yeah.
So
and
you,
this product would help with just kind of keeping
It's not a
things.
prescription. Yeah.
Okay.
So women who, like for me, I had chemotherapy, and I needed to take hormone blockers because my cancer was fed off of hormones. So taking hormone blockers without having estrogen in your body,
Yep.
it leads to extreme vaginal dryness. So it's extremely painful and stuff. So this is a hyaluronic acid that you use every few days that allows some of the moisture to be brought back to.
And
okay.
it can also help with like killing bacteria and stuff, right? Am I right by that, or?
Mine does not.
Okay.
The hyaluronic acid is really just, it can like bring so much moisture. Like for every drop, it's like equal to 1,000 drops of moisture.
Okay.
So it's strictly moisturizing. But there's other vaginal suppositories that do help with like pH balance and things of that nature.
That's what I'm
Boric
thinking of.
acid.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably boric acid and things like
Interesting.
that. But ours is just moisturizing only. And so there was only one product on the market that was rather expensive. Now there's quite a few. It's just myself and two others that have actually an FDA number. You're supposed to have an FDA number, even though it's not a prescription. But learning about how people don't have them and the knockoffs
Yeah.
and how
Hmm.
Amazon works, and it's just been a whole new education. So,
So if
yeah.
somebody is looking for a product like this and they go to this site, what exactly can they expect? What do they need to do?
So just purchasing it on the site or purchasing it on
Yeah.
Amazon, and or so
Oh, you
where
can
we're
do it either
trying.
or. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, either or. And where we're trying to grow it, we tried, learning about Amazon ads and the expense of those and Facebook ads and
Yeah.
everything like that. We're not an expert in that. I'm not yet. And what we're doing is we're doing a lot of outreach to physicians' offices because one of my medical advisors, he was describing how he doesn't get samples and he really doesn't have the right tools in his office to educate
Mm.
his patients. And I'm like, I've been in your office like 100 times, and I never really thought about your sample. I was more worried about your revenue. And so learning about that side of the physician's office. So we're in almost 400 physician offices now. We want to be to 1,000 by the end of the year that they're actually handing out our samples. So the OBGYN
Wow.
Yeah.
offices in the country, I estimate there's around 9,000 offices. So we have a long way to go.
Oh,
That's
But
wow.
impressive, though.
yeah, we started last October on that. And I'd love to be at 1,000 so that it's just shocking still. OBGYN offices, the physicians are calling and talking to us and they're like, what is this? Why would my patients want this and
Hmm.
need this? And it's still considered new in the industry and stuff. So
Hmm.
That's
just
crazy.
want to get that out there and yeah, help
But
them
this
as
is
well.
something they would need a prescription for.
No, they do not need a
Oh, they
prescription.
do not need
It's
one.
over the counter, but we still have an FDA number, even though it's an over the counter.
Okay.
It requires an FDA number. So.
Is the idea to eventually get into retailers then probably or
Yeah, so the largest one that is our competitor got into Target about 6 months ago.
Oh.
And so it is starting to just barely get into the retail side of that. We would like to continue to like branch out and have other products, but really to scale. This happened at Bugle. We're trying to do that within Monarch as well. Is just like staying small, going deep, being excellent in
Mm-hmm.
one thing, and because you can't boil the ocean. If you do everything, you do nothing. And so,
Yep,
as much
fair.
as it's more exciting to go do 10 products, the reality is go deep, be an expert, and be very strong so that when you
Mm-hmm.
build, you're not building on top of a weak foundation. So
For
we'll
sure.
Sure.
probably
Yeah.
stay with one product for a while. So
Yeah, that would make sense kind of until you have that mastered and out there per se.
Yeah.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah,
you
that makes
sell
sense.
Bugle and you got Monarch and obviously Flush is seems like it's heading in the right direction. And you decided, you know what, that's really not good enough for me yet. So you have something else going on in the back burner, and
Oh, was that fixing the assurance issue?
Uh, I wish. That was
yeah,
the
right. I was going to
magic
say,
wand.
if you do that, we're going to need a 24/7 bodyguard for you because there's going to be a lot of people after
Go
you.
back to Howie's security.
Yeah, there you go. Yep,
No,
I'll hook
it
you up.
goes back to the learning. Just obsessed with learning, and
Mm-hmm.
really, started learning about it before I left. Like in the last year and a half or whatever, mostly. But the AI world is just fascinating as to what's going on, and just having the space to consume that and really listen to that, learn from that, and understand that it's the biggest monster and
Mm,
accelerator that's happening, and it's hard to even consume in your mind and
it really
really
is.
digest what's happening. So
Right.
have a few apps and a few softwares that I'm working on. That's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun projects in that area. So we'll see. Maybe some of them will have some legs. We're working on, you know, um, anything from like a little game to
Mm.
my first app that I was talking to Howie about is a software where I love to consume podcasts, hence on your podcast. But and so I feel like, there's again not enough time, and so how do I consume more podcasts in a
Yeah.
way and choose wisely and not miss good podcasts? So I'm bringing in like YouTube data through an API and trying to sort and give scoring to all of my podcast favorites and all these channels just for my own. We'll
Yeah.
see if it's valuable to anybody else, but to me, I find podcasts that I would have probably missed and
Yep.
things like
Okay.
that. So
I have so many podcasts in my saved history that I'm like, I can't
yes,
catch up. And I'm
yes.
like,
Yeah.
how do I catch up to all these? And
Well, I hope
then,
to bring
like
in
you
the
said,
comments
I don't
and
even,
score them, and yeah,
and then because of that, because I have so many of the ones I'm already subscribed to loaded up, I can't venture out and find other ones.
Mm-mm.
no,
So,
no, and that was my
yeah,
whole point. Like I would bump into some strange channel that had like a million. I'm like, how did I never hear this? And
right.
a lot of tech world and things like that. And
Yeah.
so it was also like I need a TV guide from the '80s, right? Like I
Yeah,
really,
right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and I want to control my algorithm. I don't want the algorithm controlling me. I want to control my algorithm. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
bring in logic that would let me have my own algorithm. But we'll see if I pull it off or not. It's just fun. So
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
this is not out yet? This is still something
no,
you're tinkering with.
it's just,
Okay. Got you.
me. Yeah.
Yep.
Very
But
cool.
working on that or, um, I was helping my little nephew. He's just interesting guy and he does a lot with farming. And so he's trying to get all the feed mills together and things like that. And I'm like, who would do, I don't know anything about farming, but I'm learning about it. And so,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, what? This is
it's just
crazy. You're
like,
going down every little avenue you can. This is
well, it's
crazy.
just what presents itself. And then do you find that to be interesting? Are you learning something? Like, it's just really about that. It's just feeding my own hunger for learning and education and challenging myself, right? And
Yeah.
so that it may not result in anything. So that's the other thing is just in this whole AI world, I think the abandoned project rate has gone 10x, like so.
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
So, if any of these apps or programs or such do come to life, is this something they'd be able to find if they were following you on Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that?
Yeah,
Or
I'll start
okay.
getting more public about chatting about
Mhm.
that. And I think anybody who's wanting to learn about AI and doesn't know where to start, there's so many interesting communities starting, and there's places out there like school, like that SKOOL site. There's lots of places to learn there. I joined a group called Willa, and it's for women in learning in AI.
Hmm.
And she's doing a great job of just getting women together and learning together and in a different
Like, there's
environment.
stuff I never even heard about. This is crazy.
I
Oh, it's
know.
just fun. And I think that PEF group, I'm in a lot of the chatters, and so you hear strange gadgets and new websites just constantly so I think just the entertainment of new and invention and futurism just is probably addicting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What a fascinating conversation we just had. That was pretty cool.
I know.
Well, we could have had a birthday party, but
Yeah. Yeah.
This is true.
Lincoln, we could have invited him. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So, yeah. Again, remind me. I lost the name already. Who was it? The 90th birthday?
Oh,
Barb.
Barb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bart. Okay.
Yeah. My
So
mom's friend.
happy
and-
birthdays go out
Yes.
to any and Howie, your son just had his birthday not that long ago. Like
He
it's
did.
it's a whole big birthday bash here lately.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
So Kristen, thank you so much for all the information you just gave us. Kristen Closson, Closson. Find her on Facebook, find her on LinkedIn, give her a follow. Monarch ABA Therapy. Again, you can find that on Facebook, monarchaba.org. Monarch, again, is spelled with the K, Monark. Blushbeauty.com. You can go there. And also, you can find that on Amazon, you said as well, correct?
Right.
And follow her. Be on the lookout for, it sounds like there's more stuff coming. So,
Yeah, have fun. And I mean, really, kudos to you guys, what you do and what you bring to your listeners and everything. I've enjoyed
thanks.
listening, especially when you get into the mental health space. And
Yeah.
that's just really, mental health crisis is no joke and just one of the
it
most
really
serious
isn't.
No.
things in our
Yeah, I mean,
country and what
For
you're
a while
doing.
there, especially when we would have guests
Oh,
on that
yeah.
had a lot of,
Yeah.
especially some of our music guests, which was really kind of strange in a way. But a lot of
Mm,
those the music guests we would find had some sort of mental struggle they were going through,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and I guess it kind of makes sense because you hear that so much with different artists that when they
Mm-hmm.
have those, but that's the way they express it through their
Yeah.
art, whatever that art is.
You're
And so
making
many
people
of
feel
them
less
would be so
alone.
willing to talk about their struggles with mental health, and
But
so it was something we
also
brought up
too,
pretty
yeah,
often, to be honest.
people in that industry, they fail a lot more than they succeed. So it
Hmm.
Hmm.
it makes
Yeah.
sense, you know?
Well, it'd be impossible if you ever get into deep thinking, it'd be impossible to measure the influence and impact that you two have had just
Oh,
by providing that, letting people be able to be seen, and also like making others feel heard, as well as like letting others not feel alone or isolated. And it's just, you'll never be able to measure your power. And so I
mm.
just really appreciate what you've brought, and thanks for
Thank
what you
you.
Thank
do.
you. Appreciate the
Yeah, we
kind words.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, and we definitely appreciate what you've done for yourself and also
For
for
sure.
the folks in the the autism world, where you are building something really special for these folks. And
Yeah.
I know you did it in large
Uh,
part because of your daughter, but you know what? Because
mm-hmm.
of your daughter allowed many others to receive this treatment that so many people wouldn't get. And
Yeah.
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
deserve a lot of praise for that. You really do.
Oh,
So
I'm grateful. I mean, just you're on the bus and everybody's on the bus with you, and just finding everybody's seat, and
that's right.
just all about participating, showing up. I think you guys do tons of that, and allowing
Hmm.
your listeners that as well, and allowing this to be understood so it becomes more tangible for others and stuff. So
Hmm.
thank you for everything that you guys do.
Of
Thank
course.
you again. Appreciate it. Kristen Closson, find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Closson. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Allie,
Yes.
anything else?
That's all I have for
All
now.
right.
For now.
We'll
So
see you soon. Yeah. Can't wait.
yeah.
Take care,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank
Hang
you.
on a second.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Just want to